today I wanted to chat about 5 little tips to create a safe space in your tattoo studio to tattoo from. So, number 1, the most important thing is creating a safe space online. So your first point of contact is your online point of contact, like where are people coming from? Usually they check you out online, or they at least email you or message you online. So you want to be able to let people know who you are online first and foremost. So if people know who you are and you're authentic about it, I mean, you don't have to go and show the ins and outs and stuff of like every little thing. You can just show what you feel comfortable with and what's authentic to you, you know. But showing those little bits and pieces that feel authentic to you is creating that safe space for your clients. Because if they can get to know you before they even sit in the chair, before they've even messaged you about a tattoo, then they're more likely going to feel more comfortable with you when they actually come and get a tattoo from you. Like, they're going to be like, oh yeah, well, I already know this girl. Like, I see her stuff online, you know, like I know what she's into. Like, we're cool, you know, like it's like more of a connection because you've already had this online connection, you know. So you're making that online connection first and then translating that into the tattoo studio, and then it's just so much more fluid and wholesome, you know, like rather than not knowing who you're coming to. You know, it can be a little bit more abrupt. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it can be, you know. If someone, for instance, has an Instagram page that doesn't have their, you know, just says the tattoo studio, it doesn't have who they are or, you know, where they tattoo from, it doesn't have their face on it or their name or anything like that, people might be a bit like, you know, I don't know who I'm getting it from, but I really like their work, so I might risk it and just go and see them. They might end up in a bad place. Not saying it always happens, but they might. It has happened before recently, not naming names or anything. But, you know, or it couldn't. But yes, creating that safe space online so that people get to know you and can understand who you are is a little bit more, you know, it opens them up a little bit more. So yes, if they don't know who the person is behind the tattooing, behind that, they could definitely book in the tattoo, and they would, but they may not feel as comfortable when they get there. They might be a little bit standoffish because they don't know who they're talking to, they don't know who to expect or what to expect. So creating that space, that safe space to tattoo from, really starts at the social media and that aspect of showing who we are, because without that, how are they supposed to know who they're getting tattooed from? Number two is creating boundaries. So your clients will thank you for creating boundaries, and this means with them as well as with your studio co-workers. So with them, with the clients, you know, making it really obvious where they should be looking to message you, for one, you know, like it says if you don't want a DM, say no DMs, or, you know, if it says you want emails only, say emails only. Have, you know, your little, or a type form even, you know, they're great for getting people directly to you rather than being, you know, like message you here, oh, she's not replying to me on Instagram. Like, maybe they didn't know that you know, you don't have it on your Instagram, that you don't reply to DMs or something like that. So just being really clear and creating those boundaries from the start, even when it comes to deposits or bookings or that sort of thing, you know, even having it on your Instagram and just, hey, this is how it is from the start, this is what to expect from me, so we can work together, and it's really cool like that. So having those boundaries from the start is a really good way to create safe space for tattooing, as well as having the boundaries with, like, say, your boss, or, you know, if you're in a not so super open studio that's a bit more. So we also want to create the boundaries with our co-workers as well. So making sure that if our clients, like if we're sensing that our clients are feeling uncomfortable with what our co-workers are saying, you know, maybe they're saying something derogatory in front of people, or something that's not so super nice or positive in front of certain people, then we can just be like, you know, on the down low, like out the back, or like even message them later on and just, like, you know, for the next client sort of thing, and making sure like, hey, do you think we could like keep that talk to a down low, or like to a minimum when I have these clients in, or, you know, do you think we could leave that sort of talk, you know, to at the back or after the tattoo or something like that. Just being really open with them and saying like, hey, it makes them feel really uncomfortable, and like I don't think they're going to come back if that's going to happen. So I think we should, you know, for the benefit of your clients as well as mine, because, you know, if this person comes in and gets tattooed by me, really enjoys the experience, their friend might really like your work. They might really want to come get tattooed by you. So if we all work together and we're all open and communicative about making it a good experience for everyone, then everyone's going to have a good experience and everyone can grow together. So just being really open and creating those boundaries with your co-workers as well, just in the sense that like it may or may not be, you know, the best super comfortable environment. It may be like super busy, and you may have a client that, you know, has a rib tattoo and, you know, wants to take her top off or something like that, but there's lots of people around, she doesn't quite feel comfortable, you know. Just have those boundaries. Just be like, hey, I'm just going to put some screens up or something, you know. Physical boundary. Easy. Just make them feel comfortable with these boundaries. Which brings me to number 3. So putting up actual physical boundaries, like putting up dividers if we need to protect our clients' privacy. Like, as I said, if they're having like even like a bum tattoo or a thigh tattoo, you know, making sure that we have that privacy and even when we do have those dividers up, making sure that our co-workers know that that's not a time that we can come around and be like, hey, how's it looking? It's looking good, you know, unless we've said that that's okay beforehand, you know, just being really clear about that and making it comfortable for the client, as well as making sure that we're touching the client in the appropriate ways. So, for example, we're doing a rib tattoo up here. You know, she doesn't need to have a whole shirt off, like with no bra. We could easily just like unclip the bra, tape it there, put the shirt up, you know, we can make her feel comfortable without taking everything off. And this goes for clients as well. If a tattooer asks you to take your clothes off, and it's not super close to the tattoo, you have every right to say no. And you should probably look at that as a warning sign, especially if it's nowhere near the tattoo. Yes, definitely take that as a warning sign. But feel free as a client, as a customer, to be comfortable in your body, and because you want to be comfortable when you're getting tattooed, you don't want to feel stressed or tense. It's not going to be good for anyone. So we want to make you feel comfortable. So making sure that you're wearing comfortable clothes, or that your client has comfortable clothes on, so that you can get to the spot so they're not feeling uncomfortable. Making sure they're aware of that before they get tattooed, you know, like if it's their first tattoo and they are having a rib tattoo and they wear like this, you know, a jumpsuit, you're going to be like, well, fuck, you're going to have to take it off, you know. So making sure that they know beforehand what they're getting into, what they're needed, and just what's needed and what's required, so that everyone has a comfortable time. Number 4 is respecting that everyone comes from different walks of life, and being grateful that they're in your tattoo chair. So this means like no judgment, you know, like everyone has got a story, and pretty much most tattooers I know, like they don't tend to judge, because they've just seen so many different people and heard so many different stories, that we know that there's a vast life experience going on with everyone. So like everyone has similar stories, but there's just so much, you know, so much different stuff going on with everyone that we can't judge. We just get to be the ear, we get to be the person that holds that space for them, to allow them to transform and to shed all of that stuff, rather than being the person that's sitting there like, you fucked up. Let's hold space for them and allow them to shed that, so that they can blossom again, you know. Let's let go of the judgment and just have that space of like, everyone is on a different journey, and you do you, and that's awesome, and I'm here for you as a tattooer, as your confidant, as, you know, like I'm here to help you release that shit. You want to be grateful for them for coming to you. You know, they're coming to you for a reason. Respect them for that. Be grateful for their support, and respect them for that by listening to their conversations and really making space for them, not talking over the top of them and like listening to what the other people are saying in the conversation and like yelling across to your studio mate or whatever. Like making sure that your attention and your energy is being given to your client. Like, I mean, sure, you can involve like your co-worker every now and then in a discussion that may be loud enough for everyone to hear, and you make a big group discussion out of it, you know, and that's totally cool because you're creating that energy and you're creating an even bigger, more comfortable space for everyone, you know, and it just creates that cool vibe. But you know, if it's just like you're quiet, your client's all quiet, you know, sitting there getting tattooed, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what's happening over there, you know, like, and being really loud and destructive, or you know, we just want to make sure that we're being aware of our client's energy and how they're being receptive to us and our energy as well, and just making little changes for that, like being authentic, but making little changes for the people because we want to make sure that they're comfortable. We're providing a very, very sacred service for them, and I'm very grateful for that, and we should be grateful, and we should honor that and do that in a way that's good. So this means like talking in a respectful way, being aware of the conversations and where they're going, also where to steer away from conversations as well, like just really sensing that from people and using your intuition to guide you with these conversations and these connections with your clients, because we want to be authentic, but we also want to create a safe space for them to feel heard and not feel judged as well. Number 5. Number 5 is be you. So be authentically and no one else but you. If you be you and actually open up to your clients and start to show some vulnerability, like not to a super high extent where you're taking over the conversation and dumping all your shit on them, but like, you know, if they say that something's happened to them and you're listening to them and, you know, being that shoulder for them, and they've said their bit, and then you just say like, hey, I know, hey, like, I feel you, like, we're in this together, I feel you on that, hey, like, I've been through something similar. And then that creates this connection, you know, that creates a strong bond. Like, I saw a study once, it was a terrible study, but I saw a study once that said that they did a test on workers in an office that was, thank you for putting your tail in the shot. They did a study on office workers. They did a group that were subjected to trauma. The trauma was ice cold water on their hands, I think. And then the next group were subjected to warm water on their hands, and the next group with no water. So they found that the groups that got together the quickest and the best, and that got along and connected the quickest and were more productive, were the ones that had the trauma bond, that were all in that cold ice water together. So that just proves that something about this connection to trauma, like, we can really connect from it, as hard as it and as bad, like as perceptibly bad as it is, but it really does connect us. So I'm not saying dump all your shit on someone. I'm just saying, like, if someone says that something, you know, like, isn't like super good for them at the moment, and you're just like, oh yeah, well, like, my life's great, you know, like, you can just be like, yeah, well, you know, maybe it's not, you know, you could actually be honest with them and be like, yeah, stuff is really hard at the moment, right? Like, rent is really shit at the moment. Like, you can be honest with them and they will be super grateful for that, and that connection will just create more of that space that allows them to feel comfortable. So the more you open up, the more your client will open up, the more the client's energy will open up. The more receptive they are to the tattoo, the more receptive they are to the energy of the transformation, the more that will open up this portal of change, of actual vibrational DNA, lifeline, timeline change, shifting. So being you, what does that entail? Well, you could always write down a list if you don't really fully feel like how to be you in a tattoo space. You know, you can write down a list of the things that you could sneak in there, or you could just start being you. one real great tip is actually making your physical space, if you're allowed to, like if your studio allows you to put your artwork up or put some plants or some crystals if you like crystals, or you know, whatever, or some god statues, goddess statues, whatever feels like you or your essence. Like it could be a skateboard or whatever's you, you know, whatever feels like you and, you know, exudes your essence. It may be stuff that you have in your house usually that you really makes you feel comfortable, you know. And if it makes you feel comfortable and you're attracting clients that are in the same sort of vibration as you, that's going to make them feel comfortable, and that's going to help them to feel comfortable with you. So having that space that feels like you, that has your stuff in it, that has your energy in it, is really going to help create that safe space for the client, like in a physical sense. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. Those are 5 things to do to create a safe and comfortable space to tattoo from. So thank you. Remember to like, share and subscribe, please. I love you.